Hello my friends and welcome back to another video. First, I just want to say thank you so much for the love, the support, the kind words that you all left to me on my Patreon announcement video. It means so much to me and I just am so thankful for you all. Thank you to everyone that has signed up already. You all have made my 2023 already off to a phenomenal start, so I just am so happy and excited for this year. But for today's video, I am doing something a little bit different for January. I'm trying something out for my channel. This is a tester, so it'll depend on how you all react to this video. If you like it, if you feel like it works a little bit better than my usual monthly wrap-ups, I guess, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to do a recent reads video halfway through the month, which is right now, where I go over some of the books that I have recently read, and then that way for my monthly wrap-up at the end of the month, it's not so chaotic, it's not so long, it's not so rambly. I know you all love how long and rambly they are, but it becomes so overwhelming to edit them sometimes, and I'll be honest, I forget about a lot of the books because the books I read at the beginning of the month are out of my mind once the end of the month comes. So I feel like this might be a better way for me to do wrap-ups. Like I said, this is a tester. We'll see how it goes. This is just an experiment for my channel. So it'll be up to you guys how you enjoy this kind of thing. If you think it works really well, whatever, you can let me know in the comments down below and we'll go from there. So I have 5 books that I have read so far this month. I've only read 5. I've been reading really slow this month. I don't know what happened, but you know, I only have 5 books to talk about, so it's gonna be like a wrap-up. I'm gonna talk about the book, what the plot's about, and then my thoughts and kind of like my tentative rating as of right now. It could change, but you know, I like to sit on ratings for a whole month, so we'll see, but I will give you like my tentative rating as of right now. Yeah, so I think that's it. So let's get into the 5 books that I have read in January so far. The first book is Out by Natsuo Kirino. So this is like a Japanese crime thriller mystery, I would say. A little bit more thriller than mystery. I could see how it would be categorized as a mystery as well. This plot is about a young woman who works the night shift at a factory where they produce boxed lunches, and she comes home one night and she ends up strangling her abusive husband. She panics and she ends up calling her coworkers, and they end up helping her dispose of the body and cover up the crime. I really did enjoy this book. I think my biggest, I wouldn't say it was an issue or really like a pet peeve or anything, but there are a lot of POVs in this book, and sometimes it did get a little bit hard to remember which character was which or who was who, or you know, which one was doing what previously. So I did have to kind of like really focus on names, and it got easier because they all are very different characters, but especially with the male characters, I had a hard time distinguishing them from each other. The women were a little bit easier because they were very different personalities, and I felt like it was easier for me to distinguish one from the other. But the male characters, I kept getting them mixed up, and I don't know if it's because I really didn't care for them or care about them. I was more interested in the women, but I just kept going, which one is that one again? I don't remember who he is. So I will say that it did take a lot of focus for me to remember who was who, because it does have a lot of characters involved. This book is actually very dark, very gross, very bloody. I wasn't really expecting what route this book was going to take, but then it went there, and I would say I was shocked, but I wasn't really shocked. Like it wasn't super surprising, I guess. I don't know, it's hard to explain. I was very surprised by the route it took, but also at the same time, with the kind of book it is, I wasn't super surprised. I would say my rating as of right now is a 4-star because, again, there were a lot of characters, but it did get a little bit draggy at parts because there's a lot of buildup. The first half of the book is extremely, I don't want to say slow because there's a lot happening, but it's just a lot of buildup. Things are stacking up until halfway through the book where everything kind of really gets set into motion. So I won't say that it's boring, but it is kind of draggy because you know that they're setting up for something and you're waiting for that tipping point, and it takes forever to get there for a little bit, and it was kind of frustrating at times. But I did find this book really enjoyable. It held my attention, and I really did like the ending a lot. I did think the ending was kind of funny, like I did laugh a little bit, but not because it was like humorous, just because it was more ironic. So I did really enjoy this book. It's not perfect for me, but I did really enjoy it, and I do think a lot of people will like this one, and I've seen a lot of good reviews for it. Next up we have Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. Now, this is, I think people are going to be surprised by my rating and my opinion on this one because I have seen a lot of people talking about this one. I've seen a lot of positive things and I've seen a lot of negative things. Now, the only other Alice Feeney book I've read was Rock, Paper, Scissors, and I did not like it that much because I thought it was really boring and I didn't like the twist. So this book is about a family that hasn't spoken in many years gathering together again to celebrate their Nana's 80th birthday. They are cut off from the world in this little mansion that is falling apart, and they're on this little island. There's a storm. They all have secrets. Things get very interesting when Nana is found dead at midnight. I actually really liked this. I can see why people do not like it because I will be honest, I was not super interested in the book by the halfway point. It wasn't really boring, like I was invested and I was interested. However, I figured out the plot twists, and I should say only 2 of them because there are many plot twists in this book. I figured out 2 of them very early on in the book. I mean very early on, and I was very upset by that because we all know that I have a hard time when I figure out a plot twist. It kind of just, it puts me off the book. So I wasn't very excited, but I will say I was still interested in the mystery. I was interested in the family secrets. And so when the twists that I already knew got revealed, I was like, ugh, here I go again. I was right, great. But then some other things happened, and I feel very differently now that I finished the book than I did halfway through it. Is this book predictable? Yes. Did I enjoy it? Yes. Did I like the ending? Yes. So for those reasons, I'm gonna give it a 4-star. I don't know what it is about this. It kind of reminds me of a Lisa Jewell book. I told you, Lisa Jewell is very predictable to me. I always figure out the plot twists of her books. However, there's something that keeps me coming back. It's the writing, it's the characters, it's something. I'm very sucked in to her storytelling. That's what happened with this. I love when there's an isolated setting. I love family secrets. I love family drama. I love that. I love trying to figure out who the killer is. Like, I love those types of books. They're so fun for me. And I know I guessed things, but there were some other twists in there that made things a little bit different for me, and I enjoyed it. I really did. I can see why people don't like it. I 100% get it. I fully get it, but it was so much fun, and I liked it. I don't know what to tell you. It was enjoyable. Now I don't know how I feel about Alice Feeney, and I feel like I need to read one more book by her to see if this one was a fluke or if I just didn't like Rock, Paper, Scissors. So let me know if I should read another Alice Feeney book. Next up is River Woman, River Demon by Jennifer Givon. And this was part of my 23 books for 2023, so I've already checked one off. I'm very proud of myself. Look at that. Impressive, I'm just saying. This was a book that I bought at the very end of 2022, and I really didn't know anything about it. It's a really pretty cover, and I think I just bought it for that reason. But this book is about a woman named Eva, and her husband gets suspected of murdering their friend. And she kind of goes on this journey to figure out the truth, because the murder of their friend is eerily similar to something that happened in Eva's past. Now, this was a very interesting book. One, this is classified as a horror, thriller, magical realism mystery thing, and I was very surprised. I did not know this was considered a horror book. I don't know how I feel about it, because to me it's a very hard book to describe, because it does feel like a thriller, but I can see why some people would also classify this as a horror. I think for me, the genre tags that feel the closest to it are thriller and magical realism, because this book has a lot to do with magic, witchcraft. The main character is a bruja, so I just feel like it makes sense for magical realism to be a tag for it. And I really enjoyed that, actually. The magic aspect was really, really interesting, and I think this book did a really good job of making the magic not feel silly. The magic is a main focal point, but I feel like it doesn't have a tug of war going on with the murder mystery aspect. Like, I don't feel like they're tugging to try to see who's more important in the book. You know, they're kind of equal parts to the story, which I think is very interesting, but also the magic elements didn't feel very, I don't know, I feel like silly isn't the right word, but I also don't really know what else to say. It doesn't feel cheesy, silly, over the top. I guess it feels very authentic and real, which I think is why I like the term magical realism for this book. I will say it's a little bit predictable. I did figure out what was going on fairly quickly. If I was going to classify this as a horror book, I would definitely consider it more of a light horror, so something for a beginner in horror. It kind of reminds me of White Horse by Erica T. Worth, in that it's a very like beginner friendly horror book. The writing is also very like poetic, and I feel like it's a very empowering, like that's a very big part of the story, is like empowerment, finding your feminine power, like harnessing your feminine power. I feel like that's a very big part of this book as well, which I actually really liked. So for those reasons, I think this is also getting a 4-star from me. Next up, we have The Good Lie by A.R. Torre. So this is my first book by this author, and I'm gonna be honest, I have very, very, very mixed feelings about this book. The main character of this book is a psychiatrist, and she specializes in serial killers, and she's very fascinated with this case that is ongoing. It is about the Bloody Heart Killer, and in the news, the Bloody Heart Killer's latest victim actually escapes and tells the police that it is this high school teacher. Then there's this defense attorney who is the father of one of the Bloody Heart Killer's victims, and he ends up taking on the case to defend the teacher that is accused of being the killer, because he does not believe that it's him, and he asks the psychiatrist, the main character, if she will help prove his innocence. Now, I have a big issue with psychiatrists or therapists as main characters in books, because 99.9% of the time they are horrible. They are terrible characters, and they are just so stupid, and they make me very angry, and I just think that they're always done in a very poor way. I will say that that is true with this main character. She is so dumb. Right off the bat, she does something super reckless, super ignorant, and just very dangerous and not smart, and it just infuriated me off the bat, and I just think she's an idiot. She was very stupid, so it was very infuriating reading from her perspective, because I thought she was stupid. This book is very predictable in my opinion. I figured it out pretty easily what was going on, but I will say it's super, super fast paced, super quick. The chapters are really short, and I really like that because it flew by. It was very easy and quick to read, which I enjoy in a thriller. I did like the legal parts of this book alongside the serial killer aspects, so I thought that was kind of fun. It was a nice, easy thriller. There's also like a kind of romance between the psychiatrist and the defense attorney, so that was very interesting. And I did like that to an extent. Again, the main character was really irritating me. So I don't really know how I feel about this one right now. I just finished it like a few days ago, so if I had to say right now, I'd probably give it a 3.5 just because it wasn't my kind of thriller, but it wasn't bad. It's just, I just have a problem with like psychologist, psychiatrist, therapist main characters, so it was pretty good. I didn't hate it. It's not the best thriller I've ever read. The last book I have to talk about is The Other Misses by Mary Kubica. I actually just finished this last night, so it's fresh in my mind, and this is probably the worst book out of the bunch, and by worst I mean it's like a 3-star at this point. I just didn't really enjoy it that much. This is about Sadie and Will. They move their family from Chicago to Maine, and when they move into their new house, a neighbor ends up dead. And so suspicions kind of turn to the new family because obviously this has never happened before. Of course, they're gonna look to the new family, and so Sadie ends up trying to figure out what happened to their neighbor. This is extremely predictable. I knew exactly the route that this was going. I figured it was going one of two ways. I was hoping it wasn't going the way that I expected it to go, and it did end up going that way, which is why I'm pretty disappointed by this book. It is a domestic thriller, but it's just a very average domestic thriller. It really doesn't do anything new. The tropes and the twist used in this book have been done successfully before in books, and I've actually enjoyed books where these tropes and twists are used, but in this book it just feels lazy. It doesn't feel innovative. It doesn't feel like the author tried to do anything fresh or different. It was just like, yeah, I'm gonna take this very obvious trope that's been used, I'm gonna jump on the bandwagon, I'm not gonna do anything different or unique to it, and I'm just gonna slip it in this domestic thriller and call it a day. The characters are all irritating. I knew where it was going. It was frustrating to read, and it's kind of long, so I was over it pretty quickly and I just wanted it to end. So this was definitely my least favorite book so far of the books that I've read this month. Like I said, I've only read 5, but this is the one that I dislike the absolute most. And I highly recommend Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica, not this one. This one is not as good as Local Woman Missing at all. Alright my friends, that's gonna do it for the recent reads that I have for you. I hope you enjoy this kind of video. I know it's different, but I've seen a lot of people doing it recently on YouTube, and so I kind of wanted to give it a try, see if it would help out a little bit with my monthly wrap-ups, because you know, sometimes they get a little long, a little out of hand, a little crazy, so I wanted to see if this is more helpful. So please let me know in the comments down below if you like these kinds of videos. I'd probably only do it once a month. Halfway through the month, I would probably just come in, tell you what I've recently read, and so that way the monthly wrap-ups won't be as hectic. But let me know in the comments if you like this idea, if you think if it's good, give me a thumbs up, you know, let me know. Let me know if you've read any of these, if you agree, disagree. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. It lets me know that you enjoy this kind of content from me. That way I can keep providing you with this kind of content. Feel free to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. We can become friends, talk about books, horrifying books, thrilling books, romance books, manga, all that good fun stuff. And with that being said, I hope you're having a great day, night, morning, afternoon, wherever you are, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!